All right, today we are going to do what is called an assembly. As we're working on our locks, you're going to need to start assembling different parts. So the first thing you always do is open up Creo and go to Select Working Directory on my desktop. I've set up a folder from last year. It was called Lock 2016. So all my lock parts are in this folder. So it's very similar to a part. So we're going to go to New. But instead of a part, we want to come down and turn on assembly because we're going to make an assembly. And this is my lock 2016 for me. You can name your lock whatever you want. Take off the default template check. I'll hit OK. Pick Start Assembly MMKS and hit OK. Now we get a little bit different planes. We have an assembly top, assembly front, assembly right instead of just front, right, and top. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start bringing in parts to assemble. So we'll click on Assembly, Assemble, and we're going to bring in parts. Here's all my parts from my 2016 lock. The first thing I'm going to do is bring in the lock body, and that's probably where most of you started. So I'll click on Lock Body and hit Open. And it brings in the body of my lock, and here it is floating around in space. The computer doesn't know where it is yet, so I'll lay it down. And it says right here, the status has no constraints. Constraints are just things the computer knows where to put things, and it knows where it is in relation to everything else. Right now, part number 1, my lock body, has no constraints. The computer doesn't know where it sits in the 3D world. So on your first part, you always put it in, click it, then you're going to right click and hold for a second and come down to Fix Constraint. And you only do this on your first part. So I'll hit Fix Constraint. It turns gold and it says it's fully constrained. So now the computer has it locked in its memory and knows where it is in relation to everything else we're going to bring in. As always, we hit the green check once we're happy. And we come back to the model space, and there's our lock. There's our lock body. What I like to do when we do this, when you start bringing in parts, it brings in all the plane lines, all the center hole lines, everything on every individual part. So this gets pretty cloudy and dirty as we continue to work on it. So I'm going to go to Datum Display Filters, click on it. I'm going to hit Select All so everything is deselected, and I just always want to use the axis displays, the center holes of all my circles. So I'll do that and just leave axis display on. So that is part 1 of assembling, and that's bringing in your first part, fixing it into place, and we'll go on from there.